Hey guys, Murphy's Opinions here, and today I'm coming out with my review for Live and Let Die, which is Roger Moore's first outing as James Bond, made in 1971 and directed once again by Guy Hamilton. So the plot of the film, James Bond is investigating the murder of three fellow agents, and he soon finds himself a target of vicious assassins and the target of Kananga, who is also Mr. Big. And Kananga's evil scheme is he's coordinating a global threatening scheme using his self-produced heroin, and he is using this to kind of get people addicted to his type of heroin, and he can then raise the price of it and make a lot of money. So let's just get on to the main cast of this film. So one thing you'll notice straight away is this cast is stacked, and it's tremendous in my opinion. One of the best casts in the history of the Bond series. You know, you've got James Bond, as I said, played by Roger Moore. Definitely a great first outing, and a lot of people say that he's not so great in this film. I think he's pretty good, to be honest. I think he's definitely presents his own take on the Bond character in this first film, and I think he's very good in this film. He seems very comfortable despite it being his first appearance. You've got Solitaire, played by Jane Seymour, who, in my opinion, is one of the most underrated Bond girls. I think she isn't necessarily, tough physically, but she's still likable, and they actually give her a character that we can get behind. And I think she's definitely very likable, and you feel sorry for her that she's kind of imprisoned, in a sense, by Kananga. And speaking of Kananga and Mr. Big, they're played by Yaphet Kotto, and he's brilliant, especially as Kananga. I think he's one of those villains that demonstrates a lot of emotions throughout this film. He can be calm and cool. He can get angry. He can be a great businessman. He's one of those Bond villains that it's almost like he's got multiple different personalities in a sense, and he can portray them all so brilliantly. And one thing I don't really like about kind of the Mr. Big character is it's so obvious it's Kananga. Like, the prosthetics they use on his face are terrible. Like, he takes it off and it's just like, oh, what? But those prosthetics were so believable. I think if this film was made more recently, I think the prosthetics could have been better and the reveal would have been more surprising, but unfortunately it's not really. And the henchmen in this film, there's multiple henchmen in this film, and they're all very unique. You've got Byron Samney, played by Jeffrey Holder. He's just a complete nutcase, and I love him for it. I think he's just completely insane, and he really stands out from a lot of the other Bond henchmen in the film. He's just completely off the wall, and I really like him. Julia Harris plays Teehee, and again, he's pretty awesome. Like, he's got that kind of standout, hooked hand, which is pretty cool, and he's just someone who, again, I think is such a kind of a standout henchman. And Earl Jolly Brown plays Whisper, again, quiet, but again, that's I think that's actually pretty awesome for a Bond henchman. I know a lot of those Bond henchmen are pretty quiet and they don't really say anything, but he actually does get dialogue and stuff, but it's just he's very quiet, hence he's called Whisper, and I think he's pretty cool as well. Unfortunately, one of the less memorable characters in this film is Rosie Carver, played by Gloria Hendry. She's just so annoying and doesn't do anything to actually help Bond. She's just more of a nuisance, really. I really don't really think she's not really needed in the film, in my opinion. I don't really see the point in her. They easily could have just got rid of this character, and it would have actually probably made the film better. I think you've obviously got the MI6 regulars. You've got M, who is he's fine in this film. There's no Q, which is a shame. I know, and apparently the reason is because he wasn't in the book. But when has that logic ever really stopped? The Bond films anyway. So I don't really see why they didn't do it. Moneypenny is fine, but they kind of just use her as a kind of way to kind of in the opening, in the first scene after the title song, to just kind of help Bond hide this agent in his closet who he's been banging. So there's not really much there, to be honest. The Moneypenny is just used kind of sparingly, really, which is a shame. However, Felix Leiter in this film I actually think is played very well by David Hedison. And yes, this is the same one from License to Kill. I think he's great. Once again, you know, because I think the Felix Leiter role, it's especially in these earlier films, like it's hard to kind of uh, do it right unless you're a really talented actor. I think David Hedison gives off a lot of personality when playing Felix Leiter. I really do like his take on Felix Leiter in this film and also in License to Kill. You've got Roy Stewart playing Quarrel Jr., who, you know, they kind of had to bring in a Quarrel character because because in the book there's a Quarrel character, but obviously they killed him off in Doctor No because they did the films not in order of the book, so they had to bring in Quarrel somehow, and obviously they did Quarrel Jr., which kind of makes sense, I guess. He's cool. I mean, I don't think he's as memorable as Quarrel, but he's still a pretty. He's fine for what he is, I guess. And then you've got one of the most controversial characters in Bond history, Sheriff J.W. Pepper, played by Clifton James. He's one of those people that people either really love or really hate, and for me, he's alright. I don't love him, I don't hate him. I think he's not necessarily needed for the film, but he doesn't harm the film, in my opinion. He's alright, and some of his lines are funny and some of his lines aren't. That's kind of my take on it, really, to be honest with you. The score for this film is done by George Martin, and I personally really enjoy this score. I think mainly because I'm such a big Beatles fan, and George Martin did a lot of kind of work on the Beatles songs and produced the majority of their songs. I think a lot of people don't necessarily enjoy George Martin's score, but I personally really enjoy it. I think it really works for this film. Some of the, obviously the Live and Let Die song he co-wrote with Paul McCartney, which is my favourite title song of the entire series. I think the music really works for this film. Like, they use instrumental versions of Live and Let Die throughout the film, and they use it in the right scenes. When Roger Moore does his James Bond line, I think the music for that is great. I just think it's an overall really solid score, and it has its own kind of taste on it. And I'm kind of glad that they had a break from John Barry, because he'd done so many films in a row. I think it was time to give, another composer a chance. And obviously this wouldn't, Diamonds Are Forever wouldn't be John Barry's last, but it was good to kind of take a break, I think. And then obviously some of the best bits from this film, I think, are the boat chase scene. I think that's incredible. The scene where Bond is trapped in the crocodile pool, that's a really great scene, and the tension there is great. And the fight scene between Bond and Kananga and all his henchmen, I think that's a really awesome scene. And the Kananga death scene is incredibly ridiculous, but it's fine. I give it a pass, personally. I think overall I really do enjoy Live and Let Die. I think it's one of those examples of a campy Bond film done right. I think they don't go too far. I'd say the death scene, is over the top, but I think a lot of you could argue scenes like Goldfinger's death scene in Goldfinger is pretty over the top. So I think I'm fine with the Kananga death scene, honestly. I think it's fine. I just think they don't go too far, in my opinion, with this film. I know the voodoo element is... Some people would say it's too far. I don't think it is, personally. I think there are Bond films that go way further in terms of being over the top. But overall, I really do enjoy Live and Let Die. I think it's a pretty fun film for what it is. A solid cast overall. And a good first outing for James Bond. So that's my review of Live and Let Die. Hope you guys enjoyed. Next, I'll be reviewing The Man with the Golden Gun from 1974. Give the video a like. Follow me on no, I don't have Facebook. Twitter and Ask.fm. And if you haven't already, subscribe. And thanks for watching, guys.